I'm just going to step away for just 1 second.
Mm-hmm. I think she wants that one first, right? That one.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. We are going to start. You'll hear the broadcast is now starting, and then Megan's going to give us like 5 seconds. Feedback for some of the listeners, and that's when
Okay. You're a little bit hard to hear. I'm assuming you're not on a microphone.
Yeah. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, now that's much better.
Okay. Yeah, Laura won't be the one talking on it, so. Okay, on what menu is it?
On GoToMeeting toolbar.
Okay, on your GoToMeeting toolbar where it says
Share my drop-down.
Share my
Share
screen.
my screen. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Color, PowerPoint.
Make sure you select PowerPoint
Or
the option that says clean.
Okay, it says screen of main monitor 1, screen of main monitor 1 clean.
Yeah. Screen of main monitor 1 clean, right?
Otherwise, you would see like
That's good. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh yeah, and Rahna too, you'll want to remind us when you want us to launch the polls too, so that Laura can
Yeah.
does that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will just say, okay, let's put up this one. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Oh, we're going to go live now and just give everybody about another minute.
Okay.
Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Your Branding Edge, the 7 Principles of Personal Branding. We're just going to wait a few more minutes and let everybody else get signed on here. We'll get started in about a minute. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Your Branding Edge, the 7 Principles of Personal Branding. Today's presentation will be hosted by Rahna Barthelmess. My name is Megan Mao and I'll be moderating today's webinar. I work as a consultant services advisor here at MBO and I provide individuals interested in joining the MBO community with insight on how our services work and help to determine whether we would be a good fit for the consultant's business needs. MBO Partners makes it easy for self-employed professionals and their clients to work together. If you'd like to learn more about our services, please feel free to reach out to me directly at info@mbopartners.com. Just a few housekeeping items. To maximize the screen, there's a button on the right-hand side in the presentation area. The chat box allows you to send a question to the presenter. Just as a note, we will be live tweeting today. Today's hashtag is MBOWeb. Okay, so 7 principles of personal branding every solopreneur should know. A little bit about Rahna before we get started. She's an independent consultant and branding strategist. She worked as a corporate brand manager for some of the world's most beloved brands. Speaker and author of the book, Your Branding Edge, How Personal Branding Can Turbocharge Your Career. Rahna, we'll take it over to you now.
Okay, great. I'm so happy to be here. We've got so much to talk about. I tend to talk really fast, and so if somebody needs me to dive deeper, they should just feel free to ask questions. As Megan said, I was a brand manager in the corporate world for a long time, brand manager for Lego, Miracle-Gro, all of these corporate brands, and then I became an independent consultant. When I went out on my own, I realized that I had to be the brand manager of me. I had an aha moment where I figured out that all of those principles and strategies that I would use to promote Lego or Miracle-Gro were the same things that I could do to promote me. So I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to get clients? And so I applied the branding principles that I had learned in order to grow my reach. And so that's what we're going to go through here today. What are the branding principles that you need to promote you? And so that's what personal branding is all about. And so before we start, I wanted to ask, what is your biggest branding challenge? And so I'd like to have the poll started. So these are just a couple of ideas. Maybe you're not sure what kind of value you have. Maybe you don't know what your personal brand is. You might not be comfortable talking about your brand. You know what your brand is, but you don't like to talk about yourself. Or you're really clear about what your brand is, but you don't know where to express it, and for some people, they've never even thought about their personal brand. So wondering what the biggest challenges are for you. If you can just go ahead and vote for that, and then we'll close that poll in just a few seconds. And then let's bring up the results of that.
Okay, Rahna, it looks like the majority of individuals had trouble deciding where to express their brand.
Okay, great. This is great. So this information, we're going to have a couple of these polls throughout, and that helps me to figure out where to focus my conversation with you today. And so, yeah, let's get into it. What is a personal brand? A personal brand is how you express yourself to your target audience. And personal branding can do some amazing things. It can focus your marketing efforts. It helps guide your decision making. When you're clear about your personal brand, you can more easily say, yes, I want to do this project. No, I shouldn't do this. When you have a strong personal brand, it allows the right people to find you because you're projecting your personal brand out, and then people say, okay, I want to work with that person. It strengthens your position in your world. Whatever your industry, whatever your area is, it's going to strengthen your position and help you be perceived as an expert. And that attracts the right opportunities. People say, oh, you know what, we have this project and we thought of you because we know that you are an expert in whatever. So when you have a strong personal brand, there are so many benefits. Now, because we have so much to talk about, I am focusing our time. I could talk for hours about each of these aspects. So there is a free guide to personal branding on my website, and so after this webinar is over, you can go over to yourbrandingedge.com/free guide, and you can get a guide that will tell you more about personal branding, what it is, and why you should care about it. But we're going to talk a lot about it. Let me tell you, when I give presentations, I had a presentation coach, and she said, make sure that you tell someone what your key message is. So let me just be really clear what my key message is to you. Actively manage your personal brand. If you remember nothing else from today, that's what I want you to remember. You need to actively manage your personal brand. Magical things will happen, and we're going to talk about the details of that. So what I want to know is, of those different ideas, which ones are most compelling to you? Which ones do you think, oh yeah, if I could do that, that would really help me? So again, we have a poll. It helps you focus your marketing efforts, guides your decision making, helps the right people find you, helps the right opportunities find you, or strengthens your position in your industry or your world. And just a few more seconds for that poll. And let's go ahead and see the results.
Rahna, we had 55% of people say allows the right opportunities to find you.
Yeah. Totally understand that. Yeah, if you can project your personal brand, you will have amazing opportunities, and then you won't have to chase business. Business will come to you. And so how do you do that? All right, let's get into it. So the first principle that we're going to talk about is to be clear. Be clear about your personal brand, and there's really two different aspects to this. The first is be clear about who you are and what you have to offer. How are you different from other people? In the marketing world, they would talk about this in terms of your USP, your unique selling proposition. So what is it about you that is different from other people? And the more clarity you can get around that, the better off you'll be. And so a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what my personal brand is. So one way to do that is to ask. I know that seems really simple, but if you don't know, ask your colleagues, your family, your friends, your clients. The people that know you and support you will be able to tell you what you're really good at. And you've probably already gotten a lot of feedback on this, but if you ask a couple of different types of people, like if you ask your friends, and then you ask your clients, and you ask your colleagues, you ask 3 different types of people, what are the key things, when you think about me, what do you think the key qualities of me are? I'm working on my personal brand, and they will come back with a couple of qualities, and the same ones will bubble up. Those are clues to your personal brand. So first thing is to be clear about who you are and what you have to offer. The second part of being clear is to be clear in your communication with other people about what your personal brand is. And this is a mistake that I see people make. You want to find ways to convey what is different about you. You know, branding is a lot about nuance and things that people think, well, that doesn't really matter, but it does. It's the little things. It could be your brochure that talks about who you are. It could be your business card or how you dress. There are lots of different little pieces that convey something about you, and you want to actively manage all of those. So here's an example. One of the differentiating features about me is that I am a combination of I have this top branding background. You know, I've worked on these major brands, but I have a really approachable, casual style. Anybody who knows me knows I am not IBM. I am very approachable, and I try to simplify things. I have a way of being able to have a conversation with someone and pick out key points, and they just think, well, I'm just talking about something, and I'm able to say, okay, but you said this and this and this, and then simplify that down. So I have this combination of big branding experience, but simple and straightforward and approachable. So one of the things that you're going to see throughout this deck is that I use sketches. I put these sketches in my book, and the sketches convey that casual atmosphere that I try to create. But it's not, these sketches are not childish. They still look professional. And so I have lots of other things. I have, you know, different versions of an elevator pitch. I'm sure you all have that as well. But the sketches convey visually the kind of feel that I'm trying to create. And I use that in lots of places. I use it on my website. I use it on the back of my business card. So that's just a little something that I use to convey something about who I am. Now, realize no one is going to say, I see from your sketches that you are professional yet approachable. It's not that overt, but they are going to have a certain feel that gets created from that, and that is telling someone about my brand. And so there's all these little nuances, little different ways that you can convey something about your personal brand. So you want to be clear about who you are, what you have to offer, and then communicate that out in as clear a way as possible. The second principle that we're going to talk about is be confident. Now, this is the biggest mistake I see people make. If you have to be confident in expressing your brand, you need to know that you have something awesome to offer, and then express that in a very confident way. As consultants, you need to be seen as an expert. You need to exude confidence. And so figure out what your brand is, and then trust that you know your field, you know your job, you can do it. Being a consultant is a really powerful role, and people will look to you as an expert. Now, sometimes it's hard to be confident, and you may want to do things to add to your brand, adding skills and that sort of thing, but when you are with your clients, you want to express yourself confidently and always be prepared to lead your clients. You got to do your homework. Now, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. I had a client who said, I want to talk to you about a project. Can you come in? The meeting will be at 2 o'clock. Great, fine, I will be there. So I get there, I show up, and the client says, so what did you want to talk about? He had totally forgotten that he had set the meeting. And I had done my homework and had looked at his website, and I knew the basic topic of what he wanted to talk about. And so I was able to say, well, you know, I would like to talk with you about this, and let's see about this, and then just started asking a lot of questions. A lot of consulting is knowing the right questions to ask. And so when you are expressing your personal brand, you have to do it confidently. And there are ways that you can build your confidence, but just understand that one of the key principles of personal branding is expressing yourself confident. Be confident in the expression of your brand. The next one is be professional. Now this is going to help you be more confident in the expression of your brand, but that is, there are two aspects to be professional. One is the inner game, and the other is the outer game. The inner game is having the necessary skills to do your job. You want to make sure that you keep up with the latest trends and technology and things that are related to your field. So you want to make sure you are keeping up with your field. So there is managing your skill set. When I say be professional, whatever professional is in your, if you're an IT person, make sure you are up to speed on things. If you're a marketing person, you want to make sure that you're up on social media and all the new things coming out on social media. If you're a graphic designer, okay, well then you need to make sure that you are up to speed on all the latest trends in graphic design. So make sure you manage your skill set. The second part of this be professional is the outer game. Do you look the part? You know, what are you conveying with your appearance? Now, so I want you to be aware of your appearance. I'm not saying you have to be a supermodel, but you do need to be presentable and consistent with the brand that you're trying to convey. To the point of the things that I was just talking about. If you're an IT guy, you can dress differently, and someone would expect an IT person to dress differently than a graphic designer. So a graphic designer is probably going to be more creative. Maybe somebody wears funky earrings, or just has a cool business card. And what are the outer ways that you are expressing your profession? And so you want to actively manage that and make sure that you are acting in a way that is consistent with the brand that you're trying to convey. So you want to be professional. So I want to stop here for a moment and have you answer another question about, when you think about be professional, be clear about who you are, and be confident, which of those is the hardest to implement, do you think, for you? We'll just take a few seconds to have you answer that one. And now let's look at the results.
Rahna, 70 people said be clear, and
right.
Following that was 24% said be confident.
Yes, yeah, it is. People think that, well, you should just know who you are, but it takes time. I have worked on branding projects where I have taken well, when I was at Lego, we would start 4 to 6 years out developing a brand and developing all the different aspects of the product and the packaging and the TV commercials and what have you. So 4 to 6 years to develop a brand. Now, I have also done it in 4 to 6 minutes, you know, so sometimes people are like, can you just take a few minutes and help me with this? But just understand that understanding your brand and identifying what you want to be and who you want to express, that is the work of a lifetime. And so you're going to have your brand, and you're going to add to your brand continually. And so it's not surprising that being clear about who you are is the most challenging for people. Just ask and take some time to really see if you can get some feedback from other people. Feedback is awesome. Even if it's negative feedback, feedback is a gift. And when you get feedback, that is telling you something, giving you some indications. If you put a proposal together and you don't get that job, sometimes you may be able to ask the person, why didn't I get the job? That is as valuable feedback as when you do get the job. If you do get the job, I would definitely ask your client, so what was it about my proposal that led you to hire me? What was that thing? Just ask questions, because you want to continually understand what is working about your brand and what is not working, so that you can then make adjustments. Okay, so the next one is be true to your brand. You really do need to be yourself. Now, you can be your best self, but you should be who you are to your clients. Don't try to be something that you're not just to get the gig. I mean, often it's a long-term contract, maybe it's a 6-month program, and so if you sell something that you're not, it's going to be a really long 6 months. Consistency is critical. When I am working with people, I will look at all the different areas, what are they conveying, and look at so many different touch points and say, is my email signature congruent with what is on my website? And is my business card convey what I'm trying to do? And the way that I present when I'm in a meeting, is that also consistent with who I am? So you do need to be true to your brand and realize that that brand does have value. You may think, well, I do things in a weird way, or I'm quirky. You got to understand, everybody has certain types of people that they want to work with, that they can work with, that they feel comfortable with. So in my case, I told you I'm really casual. IBM is probably not going to be interested in me because I'm a little bit more casual than that. But if you are if you want to work with someone who's really down to earth, that's the kind of client that I'm going to attract. And when I talk to people, when I have things on my website, I want to make sure that I convey that consistently. So you want to look across all the different things that are communicating something about you and make sure that those are consistent. So be true to your brand. The next one is be connected. Everybody knows that networking is hugely important. We get work through people. I don't care who you are, whether you are a huge organization or you're just a one-man shop, you get work through people. And so you have got to find ways to connect with people. Of course, there are so many different ways to do that now. And I'm talking about both online and offline networking. It could be local networking events. It could be your social media. But if you need clients, you're going to need to network with people. And so I think it's most valuable in building your personal brand to network purposefully. You want to network, you want to figure out, okay, who do I want to meet? What kinds of people do I need to connect with? And then network with those people purposefully. This first point here, network with people who serve your target audience. This can be really, really valuable. So if you figure out who your target audience is, and then who else serves that same target audience, you can form alliances with them and figure out, okay, we serve the same audience, let's do some things together. The really easy example of this is real estate. So in the real estate world, somebody who's a real estate agent is going to know the mortgage broker and the home inspector and the guy who fixes things. And so all of that is those people all serve the same target audience. They form an alliance. So when you are networking, you want to find people to network who also serve your target audience. That can be a really valuable way to network with people. So when you're trying to figure out where, back to the poll that was earlier, I'm not sure where to express my brand. That is one place to do that. Figure out where other people who serve your target audience are, and then go hang out with them. Build a plan to meet people. You can ask to be introduced. Some people think that it's really complicated, but oftentimes if you just ask the people who are your supporters, maybe they know someone who knows someone, and you can say, could you do a warm introduction for me? And of course the digital world, there's so much. You can use social media to connect with people, and there it's really just a question of looking at your business model and figuring out which social media outlets would be the best. So if you serve a very business-like clientele, well then LinkedIn is going to be a great key for you. But if you also serve people who it's something personal, well maybe Facebook is a better way for you to connect. And so you want to evaluate the social media that are available and figure out which ones would be best for you. If you are in a visual industry, maybe you're a graphic designer or a photographer or something like that, well then the more visual medium is going to be valuable to you. I know that I am very dynamic, I have high energy, and so videos are great for me. I know a lot of people don't like to use video. They're worried about how they look, and so maybe they are more comfortable doing audio types of programs, but I use YouTube because I like video. You may not. So you just have to look at the various social media outlets and see which ones are the best ways to connect in a way that's authentic and true to your personal brand, getting back to the other principle that we talked about. So I want to hear from you now. What is your toughest challenge in terms of networking? Networking can be a really tough one. So is it finding the best valuable networking events to attend, or once you get there working up the courage to go talk to people, or knowing what to say without being too salesy? You know, do you have an elevator pitch that you're really clear about? Or maybe you're great during the event, but then your follow-up is really difficult. So which of these is most difficult for you in terms of networking?
So in terms of the toughest networking challenge, we have 43% that said knowing what to say without being too salesy, and then 26% finding valuable networking events to attend.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of conversation about elevator pitch, and you know, you have different types of elevator pitches. You stand up and you say, I am this person and this is what I do. But if you start with the other person and say, you know, I help these types of people do this, putting it on the other person and putting the focus on your target audience can really help your elevator pitch not sound like an elevator pitch. And that is a whole session that we don't have time to get into here, but there's a lot of information about working on your elevator pitch. And it gets back to being clear. If you're clear about who you are, then you can communicate more clearly. So I do understand, but there is a way to do that. And so, you know, if we have time at the end, maybe we can talk more about that. All right, the next one is be bold in the expression of your brand. You have to find ways to be found by your target audience. And so here are a couple of different ideas. You can make a presentation. You can mentor others. You can volunteer to lead in your area. If you're an introvert, maybe you want to write an article. You don't want to go make a presentation. Well, then write an article for your industry. Take someone to lunch. You know, there's the book Never Eat Alone, which is a great book, and apply for awards. So when you apply for an award, a lot of people think that's a very egotistical thing to do. But when you are an independent consultant, people look for those outside formal forms of recognition. And so if you have a client, you could just ask your client, look, there is this there's a business journal in many towns, and so there's the 30 under 30 or 40 under 40. You could get nominated for that. And you can ask someone, if you have a client that loves you, if you ask them to nominate you or write something up about you, they will do so gladly. And many of your clients may not be aware of the value or how important it is to build marketing plans, but they'll be happy to help you. And so you need to ask for someone to nominate you. So there's lots of different ways, and again, I want to have you build a marketing plan that fits with who you are, back to the be true to your brand, but you have to find ways to get out there and to get beyond your own little sphere of influence. If you work at home especially, you have to find ways. How are you going to get out there? Write a blog, make a presentation. Presentations are one of the best ways to build expertise. I do presentation training to help people be able to articulate their ideas and be seen as an expert, and it's amazing what happens when they do so. So you want to look for ways that you can express your brand to as broad an audience as possible. Your target audience is the key in a lot of this. If you know where your target audience is, that is going to help you choose which blogs to participate in or which networking events to go to. You want to find places where you know that your target audience is going to be. And so let your target audience guide you and your efforts, because you want to find places and ways to intersect with them. And so let that be your guide. So be bold. Find creative ways to communicate your personal brand boldly, because you have to be top of mind if you want to grow your client base. The seventh principle is be dynamic. Now this is related back to the be professional, but you need to grow. We all grow. We all add to our personal brand, and so I want you to grow purposefully. I want you to make sure that you are deciding, okay, I want to add this skill or this nuance to my personal brand. And so growing purposefully is part of actively managing your personal brand. So if you can understand where you are now, that's the be clear part, and then say, okay, now I want to add to my personal brand. What is the plan that you're going to put in place to get that? Maybe you need to take a class in something. Maybe you need to go get a certification. Maybe it's not that formal. Maybe it's just you need to go hang out with people who know more about that. Take them to lunch, have them show you something, teach you something. Or maybe it's, nope, I just need to dive in and I'm going to learn on my own. Maybe you decide you want to learn a skill and you're just going to find a program and add that. But having a plan to purposefully grow, some people just want to add one or two skills. Some people want to reinvent themselves totally, and reinvention is, of course, a whole topic unto itself. But you really want to be dynamic because you're going to change, and so I want to make sure that you change purposefully. So I would like to understand what some of the ideas are that we've gone through. What have been the biggest ideas? I do want to get to the questions, but if you could just type into the question box, what are some of the ideas that have been interesting or have helped you, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about those.
Okay, Rahna, we had someone saying knowing who you are is the foundation of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know,
how to. Mm-hmm.
When I was a brand manager at Lego, we identified for the different products what we wanted to be, and then we set about to build the product to meet that. Okay, we want to make sure that we are high quality, and so we're going to make sure that if we have a bucket of bricks, that it will sustain a drop test from so many feet above the ground, because we know, there's going to be a 5-year-old stomping on it, or it's going to have rough and tumble play in the toy room. So as a brand manager, that's something that I decided that I needed, and then everybody went around and developed it. And so the same principle applies to you. Okay, here's my brand, and I want to do that purposefully. And when you do that, then everything else builds around that. What else did people say?
Rahna, we actually got a lot of responses for this. So some of the good ones are, be clear is the biggest problem for me. Having a clear and consistent message without being too salesy. The idea of feedback from colleagues as a means to understand how you are perceived by others. Being on my own versus creating a partnership versus joining an existing franchise. And then we also had another, being clear, know who you are and what is the service or product.
Okay. Yeah, knowing who you are takes time. And from my perspective, and with the people that I have worked with, it is a combination of what is innate to you and what is purposefully something that you want to be or add. So it's an interesting kind of dance between those two pieces. I do believe that people have innate talents and skills, and in your life you will have little clues that will tell you things about you. And so often we do not value and honor what it is that we are good at. And we need to learn to just be aware and be really attuned to what we are good at. I use the example of Carrie Underwood. So Carrie Underwood won American Idol. I don't remember what season, but anyway, she grew up on a dairy farm in Oklahoma, and she sang to the cows. And she has this amazing voice, but for her, she just sang. And she loved to sing, and so that's just what she did. It's innate to who she was. And we all listen to her and we say, oh, she's got this amazing voice. But for her, it's just innate. And so it's a part of her personal brand. It's key to who she is. So what are the things that you do naturally that you don't even have to think about that have value to other people? So I will tell you another example. I am organized chaos. I like to have everything out on my desk. I like to see things, and that can be very chaotic. And so organization is not my strong suit. I don't want to spend my day filing. So I have a virtual assistant, and she is uber organized. She is so organized, and it's fabulous. So we have different keys to our personal brands, and they complement each other. We find, I value what she does, and she doesn't even have to think about it. So she'll just set something up, and occasionally I will just hand her my inbox, and she just organizes everything. That is of extreme value to me. And she's like, well, doesn't everybody do this? Isn't this just naturally the way things are? No. So what are the things that you do that you don't even have to think about, but there is value to the way that you approach it? And understand that you approach things differently than other people too. A lot of different people will be organized, but they will be organized in a different way. maybe, I mean, I'm in the marketing world, and so there are plenty of brand managers. For every brand out there, there is a brand manager. And the way that I would manage a brand is going to be different than the next person. Think about comedians. They're all funny, but they are different types of funny. And so in the same way, in your world, there are lots of different qualities that and other people that can express those same qualities, but they're not going to do it in exactly the same way that you do. And so you need to just have a heightened awareness that, okay, how do I do this, and how do I do that that's maybe different from other people, and as I said, get guidance from other people about what they like about you. Some of the other things?
Yeah, some of the other things, one of the big ones that I saw come through was networking.
Yeah. So networking is one of the critical pieces, and you know, I'm not comfortable in cocktail party settings. You know, it's not something that I would choose to go to a formal cocktail party. However, I have to do that often when I go to an association meeting or something where I'm presenting, and I'm a public figure. And what I have found that is really helpful to me is to understand that other people are probably not comfortable in that situation. And if I take on the role of hostess, you know, if I were giving a party, I would want to make sure that my good friend from this area of my life met this other person because they're awesome, and if I can make those connections, that's helpful to everybody. And so at that point, it is not about me. It is about making other people feel comfortable. And so that is one piece of networking that has been really helpful to me, is understanding that how can I connect other people or help other people in gaining connections. And as I do that, my personal brand value goes up. And so that's one thing. So if there are particular questions that people want to ask, now is the time to do that.
Okay, Rahna, we have quite a few questions here, so I'd like to get started on them. So the first one we have here is, my fear about being clear is that I will get locked into something, lose interest, disappoint clients, or can't change my focus.
Yeah, okay. So, and this is definitely a piece that a lot of people think about and worry about. But you need to understand that being specific, it is easier to market something that is specific. When you are broad and general, you can come across as very bland and kind of meh, nothing. But if you are specific, it's a lot easier to market to that. When you think about various target audiences, the more highly refined you can be about your target audience, the better. Your marketing decisions are going to be much easier to make. So I would say your marketing is easier if you can be really specific. But I take your point about not being locked into something. And so I would say find a way to do something, one aspect of something that is related to the other things that you want to do, and realize that you are going to grow and do other things as well. So I'll give you an example for me. So I'm a personal branding expert. I work in the personal branding world. Now within that, as we've been talking about, networking is one aspect, giving presentations is another aspect, building your career is another aspect. All of those are different aspects of personal branding. And so I can talk about any of those. Sometimes if I'm doing presentation training, that's a very particular thing. Somebody wants just that one aspect, and it relates to the broader topic, but it is something specific. And quite frankly, I can call up a company and say, hey, would you like to have personal, have training for presentations? That's better than something generic. And that doesn't mean that I'm locked into only doing that one thing. Once they get to know me, then I can say, you know, and I have this, this, and this. These are other things that I do as well. And so I think it's a question of finding a way to give something specific, because that's easy to market, and then sort of flexing to other things. And I will say one other thing that's related to that is, if you want to try to do something that you haven't done and you want to expand, of like, oh, I don't want to be pigeonholed into this one thing, find some aspect of that that would allow you to launch into something else. I'll give you an example of that. When I was, I was a brand manager for Miracle-Gro for 5 years. And Miracle-Gro plant food is sold in Home Depot and Walmart and big box retailers. And I was interviewing for a job at Lego. So now the toy industry is totally different than the lawn and garden industry. However, the toys are sold in a similar fashion, that there are a few retailers that sell the majority of the toys. So there it's, Walmart and Target and Toys R Us, and so it's, again, it's big box. So I was able to say, I understand this industry, this dynamic of selling to one type of retailer, and how you really have to make those relationships work. And so I was able to step from one industry to another by finding that thing that coordinated them all. And so if you want to build and expand, you just have to find that one thing that says, okay, this relates to that, and that way you'll be able to stretch in those ways.
Okay, we had another great question. Do we decide who we want to be and make it happen, or do we get feedback about what is needed and wanted and fill that need?
Yeah, I would say yes and yes. I am not a proponent of, well, this is who I am and I can't change. I do believe that we can grow and change and adjust. And so I think that it's a combination of understanding what is core to you, what your qualities are, and who you are, and how you approach things, how you think about things, and the unique aspect of that, and then being aware of trends in your industry and saying, okay, what can I bring to bear on that particular thing which is desirable. Again, I'll use an example. So when I left Lego, social media was just getting started, and so I was a branding expert, but I was on LinkedIn, but Facebook was still for college kids, and Twitter was just getting started. But I knew that that was going to be something that was going to grow. So I knew I needed to learn about social media because that was a hot topic. And so when I talked about branding, I did so in terms of social media because I knew that that was something hot. So I took what I knew, branding, and I added to what the trend of what is, everybody's interested in, because that was then I was able to get speaking engagements in social media because that was a hot topic, and it just allowed me the entree to then have a broader conversation with people. So know what you're good at, but then also understand the trends of your industry so that you can kind of flex and provide value in those areas.
Okay, great. We have a few more questions here I want to get through the end of this webinar. So the next one is, do you have any tips on following up with prospects after a networking event? When should you call or should you email to initiate a conversation? Should you ask to take them out for coffee or meet at their office? I work from home.
Sure. Okay, so a couple of different things. One is I like to follow up with a personalized card And so there's a system that I use where I can take a picture of someone. If I meet someone at a networking event, I can just do kind of like a group, a selfie between the two of us, and then later I can send them a card like, "It's so great to meet with you, and what you were saying about this, that, and the other thing was interesting," and whatever follow-up I might need to say if I was going to provide them with information or whatever. And so I will send them a card. People do not throw away a card if their picture is on it. So, and if you want information about that card system, you can go to yourbrandingedge.com/resources. There's more information there about that. But so I like to send someone a card, and then I will kind of space it out. I don't think that there is one method of follow-up that is best. Some people like email, some people are better on the phone, and some people want a physical thing in the mail, something physical to hold. And so I find that if I try a couple of different things, I have more success, and I'm going to meet people where they are. If I had a speaking engagement, and I sent out an email to these people that said, "Oh, I want to meet with you," and I kind of was getting nothing. I was really bummed about that, and then I decided, okay, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call them, and boom, one after the other, I got a great response, and so I realized, okay, for this crowd, the phone is better for them. And I do think that it's you can reach out and meet with people, and should it be in their office or in a coffee shop, I think that that's an individual. Again, some people are going to want you to come to their offices. As the consultant, you want to offer up something, but then let them take the lead. Say, "Hey, I would love to connect with you, and are you available on this date? Would be happy to meet with you either at your offices if there are other people that you'd like to engage in the meeting, or in a coffee shop if you'd rather love to buy you a cup of coffee."
Okay, we're going to take one more question, and the ones that we weren't able to get to, we'll have Rahna respond back to you guys. So the last one is, what one thing can we do right away to jumpstart our personal brand?
Yeah. Okay, so for me, the one thing is to be aware of that you have a personal brand, and that you want to manage your brand, actively manage your personal brand, and be purposeful, because even if you're just aware, that's going to help you. You're going to see certain things, and you're going to decide, okay, well, if I do this, that's going to highlight this aspect of my brand. And so just by being aware, you will have heightened awareness of it. And so that's what I would suggest is just that simple being aware then will allow you, and it will guide you naturally to a bunch of different things. So that's what I would say is the one thing. So thank you for all your questions. I have a couple of different things to say just before we end. I love feedback, as I told you, and so I've created a survey. I would love to hear what you thought about today, and what your biggest challenges are, and the first 3 people who do that will get a free signed copy of the book. So once this is over, head over. We also have a free gift for you. So we have this action guide that is something that you could put up in your office, or wherever you can see it, and it just outlines all of the 7 different principles that we've talked about today, and that is your free gift. I have not given this to anybody yet, so you guys are the first to get this, and hopefully it will inspire you to actively manage your personal brand. You can get that at yourbrandingedge.com/MBO Partners, and so you can download that, and hopefully that will inspire you to actively manage your personal brand. And if people want to find out more, they certainly can go to my website. I am search engine optimized. I have such a weird name that it's easy to find me, and so I am on the various social media and would be happy to talk with people. I know that this presentation will be available to people, and that we're going to send out an email with these various links that we've talked about. And so if you want to keep in touch, I would love that. Remember, actively manage your personal brand.
All right, Rahna, thank you so much for your time. We are going to quickly launch another poll. If you would like to get more information about MBO Partners, we would love to jump on the phone and go over our program with you and see if maybe it would be a good fit for what you guys are looking for. So feel free to say yes. Please have an MBO representative contact me, or yes, I would like to be added to your mailing list. We appreciate everyone for your time. Thank you.